at the end of each job, we actually sit down as a whole collective team and we run through everything together.
That's like a Formula One team.
Branding is like one of my biggest passions. It's probably one of my key takeaways from uni and just all the things I learned through different businesses over the time.
What do you think has been some of the really good strategic moves when it comes to good marketing and good branding that has helped position the business here?
People had an issue with my age and who I was as a builder. That wasn't an issue that I was able to fix.
Of course, every business grows and every business adapts. We've just gone through a rebrand, which is pretty exciting.
I think people just saw how passionate I am about the industry, which is probably the main reason that clients started to believe in me. And then it's just really a snowball effect from there, right?
How much of a role does storytelling play in what you guys are doing, and how does it play out?
Today we're with Sam and Chelsea from Barlow, a custom building duo who've been making serious waves on the Gold Coast in recent years. We'll explore their complete journey from breakthrough projects and innovative designs to their Formula One style approach to scaling. Discover why they believe building your dream home should be the most fun experience of your life. Let's get started.
Sam, Chelsea, big thank you for the opportunity this morning to walk through some of your amazing projects. But this is actually a podcast I've been looking forward to for quite a long time, because we did chat quite a while ago.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago maybe?
Yeah, and a lot has happened since then. So we're big believers on every builder is very, very unique, and every builder has their own story. If you could, because you guys have come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
If you guys could maybe Chelsea, if you could start, what was the background before? Because you guys eventually started working together, but it wasn't like that when I first met Sam.
Yeah, I had my own business, went to uni, did management, thought I was going to run my own company for a while. But we met, and I always actually loved the construction industry, especially just like houses and the design aspect of it, before I even met Sam. And then, of course, Barlow was created, and it just made sense for me to, shut down like the company I had and move over and just be full-time Barlow, which I'm so happy about. I love it so much.
Oh, awesome. What were you doing? What sort of industry were you involved in prior to this?
I did management. My parents had a business, my whole life, so it's just what I gravitated to. I really loved it. But I had like one of those pop-up toy stores in the middle of the mall. Actually, my parents owned Toy World growing up, so
lucky.
it was a fun transition into that. Yeah,
the dream. Wow,
yeah,
okay.
Literally the best Christmas ever when your dad is literally Santa Claus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Amazing. And then how did you guys meet? Just out of interest.
Kind of through school friends. We both grew up on the coast. So the Gold Coast is so small. Like we knew each other, ages ago at school. We didn't really talk
went to a few parties together when we were younger, and kind of always knew of each other. So.
Yeah. And how about yourself?
I dropped out of school in grade 10 and originally did landscaping, did landscape construction. So I did a lot of civil sort of landscaping, so retaining walls, fences.
Is that why the landscaping here looks so good?
I actually have no idea when it comes to names of plants or anything. I just know what I like the look of.
Yeah.
And then I eventually got into finished my apprenticeship, and the following day I started a apprenticeship with a local builder. It was a custom high-end builder, and absolutely loved it. It was almost like I didn't enjoy landscaping a hell of a lot, but it sort of instilled that hard work in me. And then once I started in custom sort of high-end carpentry, I sort of from, within the first couple of months was like, this is definitely what I want to do long term. Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what sort of projects were you working on back then when you were starting working under this other builder? Was it this sort of stuff or different stuff? Or?
Yeah, so I've always...
It's pretty unique, but...
Yeah, no, the builder I worked for did high-end custom homes as well, so I was extremely lucky. He really sort of took me under his wing as well. So I kind of feel like there's two apprenticeships in a way with builders, or in carpentry. You've got your carpentry, apprenticeship, which you could do through, just doing, either frames or, lock-up packages or whatever they are, or you can do the whole lot. Or there's almost like a full nother side to it if you get taken under the wing, under a good builder where, you get to learn, the civil side of it, the management side of it, and, sort of the whole building experience from start to finish, which it's almost, in my opinion, should be a complete different apprenticeship from carpentry, or it's like tagged along together.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I was actually had a guy on the podcast last week, just talking about that importance of who, you know, just more speaking to the young generation, those that are now going to be starting an apprenticeship, is just being incredibly mindful of who you're working under. You know, do some research, ask around, so that when you work under someone, you can really commit, because that's what, from an employer's perspective, that's what they want to see, is like a high level of commitment. But it's hard to commit to someone where you think, man, this is dog crap. Like, what am I doing here? You know, and there probably are hard moments that you are going to have to push through. But definitely someone can teach you A to Z.
I think the ideal scenario for a carpenter or someone who's looking to become a builder is find a good builder, you know, that you can obviously learn under, but then also, you know, the builder isn't there as much to teach you the carpentry skills. So make sure that builder's got an extremely good site supervisor or lead in hand as well. And you kind of are learning different skill sets off each of them. So
I think also, you know, the apprentice being motivated and passionate and like showing initiative to ask the questions and to get as much information as you can out of these guys that, you know everything. There's a lot of young people now that sort of think they know everything. And I think that, they need to drop that a little bit and just be like, be a sponge and like, just, you know, drop the ego a little bit and be like, okay, that guy's there to teach me everything I should know. Like, let me ask him a million questions. Yeah.
That being your attitude, and definitely that I can see you guys gel on that level of engagement and the way you approach things. What's it been like to create that kind of culture? And how do you guys go about mentoring your guys? Now you've had that experience, how do you mentor guys both as apprentices or into management?
I think it just come really naturally probably from me at the start when Chelsea wasn't involved with Barlow. I think it just comes from a level of not being able to, you know, or a level of caring for people. Like, you can pretend to care for someone, you know, just to sort of build a culture of your company. But if you truly don't actually care for, you know, their well-being or them progressing and becoming better carpenters, better people, it's going to be extremely hard. Chelsea and I are we intertwine the, you know, your friendship and your work sort of group of people as well. Like, we don't really have any sort of separation between the two. If people become our, you know, good friends at work, then they're our good friends. It's kind of, like family. So
hard work does also like stem from the top. Like, you know, conventional most builders, like, you'll happily go on site and just get on the broom for hours and, you know, dig a hole. Like, you've got to also show them what hard work's like.
Yeah, I have no ego when I go on site as to, like, I'm not going and lifting, you know, the windows because they're heavy, or, you know, going and sweeping the floors. If anything, it's probably the jobs that I do the most, just to prove to the guys. I'm obviously not there as much, you know, anymore, but at crucial times, like throughout handovers, starter projects and stuff, I am. And I'm sort of like, it's the worst. I don't mind doing those crappy little jobs. Like, I'm happy to jump in and give the boys a hand, and it kind of just shows them that, you know, we're willing to do the tasks that we also ask you guys to do as well. So.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, team at the end of the day.
I've got obviously a lot more questions for you, but let's continue exploring the house as we go through some of those. Yeah, love to show me, please.
Coming up, we explore the partnership dynamics at Barlow, their breakthrough Bonzel project, and their evolution into Barlow 4.0 developments. Stay tuned.
I remember having a chat with you, and then you mentioned about the apartment reno you were doing in Burleigh, and then I started driving past and I was like, oh, there's Sam's project up there.
Yeah.
And then obviously a lot's happened since then. Projects have grown substantially. The level of detail is insane. Talk me through what that has looked like.
Even from the very start, when I started Barlow, Chelsea was still helping me a lot in the back end with stuff. It probably was about 2 years in when we could have had Chelsea full time, but Chelsea and I were just sort of working till silly hours in the morning, working on the weekends and doing whatever we needed to do so that we could both have our own businesses. When we did make the decision for Chelsea to come on board, we kind of knew that it would be, you know, a difficult decision for a couple of years, because Chelsea's business, you know, made, you know, quite comfortable money as well. So it was kind of turning away another really solid business. But we kind of had to look, all right, well, the next 3 years is maybe going to be not a struggle, but, you know, a little bit more challenging. And then after that, we're going to sort of start to see the fruit of putting the effort into the business.
Was that hard?
To be completely honest, I think the hardest part at the start was probably allowing two very strong opinioned, strong, hardworking people kind of like within the one company to sort of where we were both used to taking control in our own companies. So probably just a bit of a...
we're both very passionate and obviously believe in, Barlow like in our heart. So yeah, sometimes, we did obviously butt heads of opinions. It was probably like the best conversations though, because we've both got like the best interests of the company at heart. But yeah, and then of course when you're husband and wife or, this brother and sister, it's not like you just talk to your colleague in a professional manner. Of course you're going to talk to them sometimes a little bit more heated. So but it gets a good result.
Yeah, definitely. Talk me through, because the big thing for a lot of the guys that we talk to on the biz video side of things is like, how do we go from here to here? How do we stop getting decks and pergolas, small renos? We want to start doing the bigger, more luxurious projects. Talk me through how that transition came for you guys. How did the opportunity come about? What sort of work had to go into it? Because it doesn't just fall in your lap. Even though you might get the opportunity, you had to be prepared to receive the opportunity when it came. But what was that like for you guys to transition?
I think your work definitely does have to like stand for itself. Of course you have the hard conversations of, meeting clients like that. Probably at the very start too, like confidence is key. And then, if you do believe in yourself and you've got great work, you do the project and then you have to get the content and, milk that as much as you can to show people, okay, this is what I can actually do. And yeah, Bond Sol was probably like a big leap where now looking back, we wouldn't have we won't do that now. Basically that project, our client only had concept renders done by a really famous and great designer over in Spain, Chart International. But now we would probably never build a house just on renders, but it was such a great opportunity that we were like, okay, and we knew our team could do it. So it was such a cool learning experience. So being able to just build something from a render, like even in the render, there was no doors, like, renders aren't always accurate. And then our client loved the look of it and Sam's like, okay, took it as a challenge. Okay, cool, let's do no doors. So that whole place has like, it's all got stacker wood panel, hidden doors everywhere. Like It's really cool.
When you walk up to the upper level, you actually think that it's just a pavilion, which is like almost like a split level of the penthouse apartment, because all of the secret doors are all built in within cabinetry, and there's a big sliding bookcase which actually just sits like 3 mil down from the ceiling and 3 mil up from the ground, and no one understands that there's actually another full second kitchen within that area. And then when you walk up there and you're like, hey, stay there, and you start pushing all these walls and everyone's just like, what the fuck? I had no idea that...
the kitchen that slides the wall is huge. It looks like a bookcase and you move it and then there's a whole kitchen behind it. It's crazy.
That is mental.
That job definitely gave us a lot of confidence, I suppose.
I can imagine. Building off something that complex off a concept.
And there was lots of challenges still in that job, like there is any job, but it just gave our team a really good opportunity to learn from challenges, not get too stressed about it. Like we had these tiles that our client wanted from, was it Italy back then? Yeah, and they were like 6 or 8 mil thin, and they took ages to come.
3 meters by 1.2 meters wide.
Huge tiles. So it looks like a concrete floor when you're in there. And then they came and they were cracked.
They're all smashed.
So it was a mosaic in the end, or?
No, they did it again. They really wanted those tiles. So round 2.
What was it like? Because a big part about when you guys start building at this sort of level is, at any level, a team is really important. But definitely at this level, when the projects are so complex, for the designer to work really well with the builder, with the engineer, with the client, a project like that, what was that like?
I think Chelsea touching on the point that we would never build like that again is probably like the main point to start. It probably wasn't the most efficient, definitely wasn't the most efficient way to build. It was very labour intensive for me, a lot of nights up late thinking of details. Our client was extremely set on what was on the renders, which is what was getting completed, which made it quite difficult when you're working in an apartment block and you've got restrictions as to where your plumbing points are within the slabs, and you've got limited access to apartments underneath you, if any access at all. We had to get really, really creative, but I think it kind of just opened my eyes as to a lot more was possible than what I probably originally thought. So it kind of really opened up a lot of conversations when we were chatting to potential clients about their home, where I would just sort of, they would ask me questions about details, and I'd always say to them, anything's possible. They would kind of laugh, and I'd be like, no, really, anything is possible. Obviously that can come at a cost, but if you want to do this really, it could be, there's multiple things that you could think about. It's like, well, we can do it, but you're gonna have to allow us time to work with the designers, collaborate with the architects and the engineers, and come up with the best solution and make whatever the decision is happen. So
we've talked a little bit about there in terms of the progression that you guys have had from the beginning to when you joined to doing these amazing homes. One thing I found quite fascinating with you guys again is that's not where it stopped. You guys have gone, all right, how can we evolve again? And this is kind of like, I feel like we're at Barlow 4.0.
Yeah.
What's this next Barlow 4.0 look like for you guys, and what avenue you guys navigating down?
Barlow 4.0 is definitely going to see a lot more of our own projects, and even moving into larger scale developments as well. It's definitely a passion of ours. I think there is a big gap in the market, and so many people out there that it's hard to find a perfect piece of land. You usually have to have a great relationship with real estate agents and get them off market. Otherwise, they're just way too expensive. But of course, in the design phase and then even going into the construction phase, so many people are too busy nowadays to do that whole process, or they just want to buy that turnkey product at the end. And it's something we love. Like, I love doing that whole process. So there's going to be a lot more of that. I'm actually going to meet a funder at an exciting project of ours coming soon, No Dust Estates. So that one's pretty exceptional. It's on an iconic piece of land on the Gold Coast in Broadbeach Waters.
I like the way you approach that in the sense of like, there's a big opportunity for this, and you've seen that gap in the market. I think that's fundamental for any sort of successful business, is to find the gap in the market and then offer something that is valuable to the market. A lot of builders I talk to, especially in the last couple of years, have struggled to find that gap or find the opportunity. Where's the opportunity for me to go and maybe be involved in some developments? How did that come about?
I think it probably truly sparked just from both our passions when we were young, but I think mainly as well, we've had great clients, but the Gold Coast is very white, coastal, stunning, which works, but our style and what we feel like there could be a lot more of is probably a bit different than this. And it was really cool for us to build Zama, where we could sort of show the Gold Coast, you don't have to just do white coastal. You can do something else, and homes can feel different. That's something within our developments that I'm so excited for, that we can just do so many different styles. And I'm already thinking about like what the next deal is, because depending on how our house is, styled, lit up, details, like it does make a home completely feel different. And not every single person wants to feel the way we do in a house like this. When we go to Zama, it does feel completely different inside. And it's a combination of all the details and the selections, and I love that part of building, to be honest. You
have to create opportunity, right? Like with developments, a lot of the time you're pushing boundaries when you're doing custom high-end homes at the higher level of where your developments don't feel like, that typical sort of builder development standard. You kind of go into that PPR, principal place sort of standard. It's that different feeling. Like if you walk through a builder's home that he's built for himself, you have one feeling. If you walk through a builder's home, generally that they've done as a development, you can tell the difference. Our standard of developments, we want to be known that every single development that we do feels like it's been built for Chelsea and I.
Next, we explore Villa Kokomo, a renovation project plus the art of strategic budget allocation and those little details that make a home feel completely different. More on that after this.
I feel as though, and I'm sure we'll see it more as we visit some other projects yours, but there seems to be little glimpses of, let's say in this project, glimpses of you guys pushing boundaries and going to another level. And I'm sure when we go to the next project, it'll be like more of that there, but then there'll be a glimpse of that next level. And what are some key features that you and Chelsea put into this project for the client that were pretty unique or started to push some of those boundaries?
Yeah, so 40 Dipper Villa Kokomo is actually a renovation. So we're very limited, I suppose, with what we could do with floor plan layouts, and then also, your ceiling heights as well. When we originally got the plans for Villa Kokomo, the upper level ceilings were 2.4 metres because that's what the existing external walls were. Yeah. And I kind of was just, looking at the plans, and I was like, it's just missing something. The 2.4 metre ceilings just don't really, I suppose, cut it anymore from a custom home point of view. So we decided to do like split scissor trusses either side, which made, on the external walls, yes, it's 2.4 metres. That as you sort of come to the centre of the house, it gets up to like, it's probably about 4.5 metres off the
So that's how you
floor.
guys have been able to do these sort of...
Yeah. So I suppose here, we have done homes in the past where we hand-pitch the whole entire house, and it's extremely time-consuming and extremely costly. What we've sort of done here at Villa Kokomo was sort of just pinpoint, all right, well, you're probably not worth spending that sort of money in the kids' bedrooms, the kids' sort of rumpus rooms and stuff, but master bedroom, entrance area and stuff, let's sort of put some really detailed carpentry in it so that the home, doesn't just feel like another home you sort of see on the Gold Coast, and it kind of has that Barlow feeling.
That's pretty clever in terms of being selective with where you put, if the client's like, that's a discussion all builders have challenges with the clients, is I want this, but my budget's this. And it's like, cool, we can get you that feel, and this is how we're going to do it. By raising the ceilings in the master bedroom, raising the ceilings in the entrance hall, gives you that feel when I enter the house, gives you the feel where I spend a good lot of time, and then achieve the outcome.
I think that stemmed a lot from Chelsea and I doing our own developments over the past, few years now. We've really starting to understand where it's important for us to spend money. We build homes where you put detail in absolutely every area, and it's extremely, fun to build and it's challenging, which definitely excites us and excites our team. But it also, excites us as well when we have a budget to work with and we kind of try to maximise, I suppose, the potential of the home, with the budget that we've got. So.
Yeah, and the skylight in the shower, I think, is a pretty epic piece.
Yeah, that's actually another last minute inclusion. Chelsea actually calls it Barlow fire in a house. So she says every set of plans we get, we normally add in or change in a few things, and just looking at it from a different point of view, which normally architects and designers love. That we sort of have that input. If they're not keen to, to do whatever we, or not keen for the
input or
the input, then we just don't do it. So, yeah.
Amazing. Wow. And when was this one handed over?
This one was handed over in December last year.
Okay, so quite recent.
Yeah, so this build took us just shy of 8 months to do. So
that's impressive.
Yeah.
As a full reno.
Full reno. It was pretty much down a ground slab and build back up. Originally, we were meant to keep a lot of the floor system, but typical sort of reno, you pull stuff down and it just sort of wasn't up to standard. So we ended up rebuilding sort of probably 80-90% of the frames here. So, yeah.
That's almost new home.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the selections, because the house, while it is that white coastal look, it does flow really well. How much of that was client input or Chelsea's input, yours, the architect, the designer?
I think when you get plans from designers, a lot of the time, like there's a level of detail that goes into them, but there's also a level of detail that's really left up to the builders to sort of handpick. So clients can get given, a set of plans from a designer. Architectural plans normally have a lot more detail, but say you get given a set of plans from a designer and you get it priced up by 3 different builders, you can have 3 different outcomes of that set of plans. So they kind of, I suppose, the positive thing about getting plans from a designer is that we get to put our flair on it. The negative...
You get to barlify it.
Barlify it, that's it, yeah. Which just little things like, they may not specify door heights and skirting types and details that they want around certain areas. So we just, as a standard, we'll put, solid doors in, taller doors, nicer hardware. We do quite a lot of like 0 threshold doors and just these little details that kind of just all contribute to the house feeling different to a standard home that you kind of walk in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not my background. And so it amazes me about, it's like, man, what is different about this? Like there's definitely, yeah, and then having you starting to point out things like just going thicker and taller on the skirts or, yeah, door frames. Yeah, amazing. Just all go into that overall feeling.
Just the accumulation of a lot of little things that end up being the big thing. It's not like, just one area, it's just, those accumulation that build up and change the feeling of the house.
Up ahead, we dive into Chelsea's strategic approach to brand positioning, how they elevated small projects to look like million-dollar homes, their obsession with their client feedback, and their Formula One style team debriefs that built their foundation for scaling.
You mentioned earlier that Chelsea came a little bit later in the business, not from day one, but you're always involved in just the behind the scenes operations or the way you guys thought or went about things. And one thing I've really taken note with what you guys have done, which I really admired, was when it comes to your marketing and branding and how you were positioning yourselves in the market. What was behind the thinking when it came to doing that? And was it a very conscious decision?
Yeah, definitely was. Chelsea was very, sort of understood the importance of brand positioning from the start a lot better than I did, and kind of it's taught me along the way. And now I'm sort of starting to understand it, to a whole nother level where we are now. I feel like we're almost, we're sort of the babies with, the vision that we sort of have over the next 12 months is a lot greater again. But Chelsea's sort of main point for us was to sort of be pushing out content when we were doing the small projects, but in a way, like you said, to align with the bigger projects. So what we used to have to do, I suppose, back then was like we would get sent, plans from, basic drafties or whatever, which you do when you first go out as a builder, and we would really push the design. So we would have a lot of input as to like, what are these bathrooms looking like on, a builder that's building, $2 to $10 million homes. And we may be in this, shitty little house that we're only doing one bathroom, but we would make this bathroom look like, that bathroom could be placed in a really expensive home. Yeah. And then we would get content of just, solely that bathroom. And that's kind of just was the, I suppose the goal from the very start.
What was the experience like for the client in terms of, part of that, the Barlow branding and the Barlow journey, the Barlow experience? What was that like, even on the smaller projects? We
were extremely involved with everything from this, like at the beginning, where it was, we would be, involved with the design phase. We'd be involved with the design stuff with the client, all the way, with everything through to handover. We didn't have any interior designers or anything sort of come on board. I suppose our process and our systems of actually how we've dealt with projects and with clients to date, it's just continually evolving, right? Like we asked them clients back then for feedback, where could we improve? What do you want? What could have we done better? And we've kind of just built on that over the past few years and sort of positioned ourselves now to where we feel our systems are, and foundations are in such a strong position that it's really going to allow us to scale and do, a lot more projects over the next few years.
That's awesome. That idea of asking for feedback, there's not a lot of guys I come across.
Even asking from feedback from contractors as well. Like if there were two things that we could have done as a building company that would have made your life easier, what would it be? And it might be, we want to clear a run at X, or, if you prepped this area a little bit more, it would have been a little bit more efficient. So we sort of take on all that feedback, and then we, at the end of each job, we actually sit down as a whole collective team and we run through everything together. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we've done that from the start. So I do it with my carpenters individually, I do it with Chelsea and our office team individually, and then I do it with all of us as well.
That's like a Formula One team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's important, right? Like I'm extremely passionate about building efficiently, but obviously building to an extremely high standard. So you kind of just have to be constantly improving, and getting those sort of leaders within your company to be thinking on the same level as what you're thinking.
Up next, we have Sam and Chelsea at Barlow share their journey from tools to leadership, discussing their rebranding strategy, team philosophy, and why they believe building your dream home should be fun, not stressful.
One thing I was asking Sam about earlier, just before you stepped out, was around the just branding and marketing. And that's something I think you guys have done a really great job of. And definitely, I know you were involved with some of that prior to coming on full time,
Yeah.
but then I think maybe when you came on full time, you were able to really get your hands on it. What do you think has been some of the really good strategic moves when it comes to good marketing and good branding that has helped position the business here and then again and then again?
Branding is like one of my biggest passions. It's probably one of my key takeaways from uni and just all the things I learned through different businesses over the time. A brand is literally like what people think of you of. It's a first impression. People, typically don't engage with someone until they see a brand at least 7 times, and then they sort of start to feel and trust that. I think something a lot of people are scared to do, which we've just gone through, is a rebrand. It's, you build a business based around your brand, and a lot of people are too scared to then adjust that and suit that. But of course, every business grows and every business adapts. So we've just gone through a rebrand, which is pretty exciting. It's still very similar and it looks the same, but it's just a little bit more elevated. It's a fancy way of saying like who you are. Like we all know who we are as humans. A brand is just like who a business is. It's like what we believe in, what our values are, who we want to be, the way we talk, the way we walk, and everyone's different as a human. So it's just like every business is different.
How do you guys go about communicating and trying to convey some of that?
I find for us, communicating it is super easy because our brand is truly who we are. I feel like some businesses often build a brand about not who they actually are. And I'm like, that's going to be so hard for you to translate through to your trades, through to your staff. But this is truly who Barlow is at core. We do obviously, as we're growing as a company, have little, brand books and videos, and we teach them who they are. But nothing communicates that as much as just watching me and Sam, watching our boys. Like it's the Barlow way. We've said that forever, and it just feels different.
You guys have an amazing team behind you. How have you gone about putting that team together?
Building out that team over the past over the past 6-7 years just came very natural because I was very involved with the process. As we've sort of gone into now growing in, our internal team as well, I feel like that's almost where Chelsea, somewhat takes over a little bit. And, Chelsea trusts me with what I do with all of our site team and, how I run that and the efficiencies of how I run everything on site. And I kind of, do the same, I suppose, with Chelsea.
Personality hire is our biggest thing. Like we don't really care about how much experience you've got, how much you know. We look for 2 things: A, personality hire of like who you are as a person and how well we can all get along as a team, because you have to work with this person for forever. But the main thing is their willingness to learn and grow is the number one thing you even look for on site, because someone can know so much working for another builder, even as a carpenter, but it's probably a completely different way of doing carpentry here. And it's just all about them as a person and how much they want to learn.
And just being positive, right? Like Chelsea and I are quite energetic people, and we kind of want to be around people that are going to bring our energy up as well.
How do you measure energy there?
I feel like I've got a really good judge of character. I think it's probably from my old business where I was literally in the middle of a shopping centre trying to get people to buy stuff that they didn't really want to buy. And I just dealt with, I travelled a whole of Australia. I went from like Wagga to Cairns. So
wow.
I've met so many random different people, and we even went through that recently for a hire. We nearly hired someone. I was like, you were like obsessed with them. And I was like, no, trust me, I've got a vibe.
And I think over time then I start to understand that that's, where Chelsea's, can read people probably a little bit better than what I can. So I trust Chelsea's opinion. Yeah. And sort of knowing, I suppose, we just sort of trust each other's strengths in different parts of the business. Yeah.
A big transitional point that I hear from a lot of guys being quite challenging is going from tools to no longer being on the tools. Was that an overnight thing, a slow progression, and how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I think the most difficult part of going from on the tools to in the office is not getting that creative outlet that you get as like a custom home carpenter. It's probably one area that I personally struggled with a lot. So it was for me to get, that creative outlet from different parts of, being in the office, whether it's drawing details for the, the guys on sites, or it's being involved with the designs of the home. And would probably be a couple of areas that help with that sort of outlet, I suppose, of creativity. But there's still like one part, there's still a part of me that I just sort of like yearn to be on site. I love being around it. I love the process of building. I love when, when the site's busy, but it's organized. It's just something that I really love. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the plan really is that, the more we build out the office team and stuff, the more it allows me to be there and be involved with, these client builds and stuff, because I feel like I bring so much value to that part of the business.
In particular, the experience that you've got and your role in the company, where do you see most value brought to site when you do get the opportunity to go there?
It's definitely not been on the tools, and I'm not really on the tools as much anymore. I suppose it's just my ability to organise a lot of people. We build extremely efficiently. The home that we're in at the moment, Zama, we built that, if you exclude the Christmas period, in 8 months. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, it's an extremely efficient way, and it sort of only can be built, I suppose, in that way when you have a really strong leadership group on site. I'm sure over the next few years, our leaders are going to become, even better than what I am at doing that. But, for the time being, while everyone's still learning, the Barlow way of doing it, I'm sort of enjoying still being there as much as I can. And I think I'm going to hold on to sort of being there as much as I can for as long as I can. So
one thing I've noticed is the level of detail in all things, in the branding, in what's going out there, whether it be even the smallest of projects back in the day, you still then brought it through marketing at a high level. You didn't lower the attention or the energy you gave it because it was small.
1000% detail is always going to be something like really important to us. But I think, to answer your question, the detail is so important, but it was also how we had to communicate the detail to everyone that's involved and really take the time to understand, okay, just because someone might want to look at interior elevations, we might have a tiler that wants a highlighted map, breaking things down. And I think a lot of people think that might be babying or doing their job for them, but the more we can make their life easier, the more they're going to understand what they're meant to be building and the feeling of it, because you can look at a set of plans and send the same set of plans to 2 different builders, and I bet you side by side the houses are going to be different. So if we've got a way that we want to visualize a house, or if we want something the way we need to feel and the details, we need to be able to explain that to someone and in the way they want to understand it.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into helping trades, and I have from the start, and some people's opinion is, you're helping these trades, this is part of their scope of works, allow them to do it, this is costing you money. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, maybe a little bit, but how are we building so efficiently? How are we building to such a high standard? Because we're laying platforms for these trades to just make things easy.
If we've thought of a detail for weeks and we've had conversations about it, it's silly for us to give them a set of plans and assume that they're going to understand that detail straight away. We've spoken about it forever, so why don't we just have a simple conversation or make it easier for them to quickly get on to what we've been talking about forever?
I think just the level of control, I think, that gives you guys the control and the guarantee to say to someone, the conversation you're having with the gentleman earlier about something coming up perhaps, your ability to know that when I say that I can deliver this, you can deliver it because of the level of control you go to.
And that's something all our boys even fully understand, and they have since the start. We've told them since day one, you guys aren't carpenters. We're a high-end building company. That doesn't mean, you're just there to build your wall. You're there to answer these questions and make sure they're fully understanding something and using initiative of okay, the Sparky looks a little bit confused. Don't just wait for him to ask you a question. Go check if he needs a hand with anything.
There is some sort of, there has to be some sort of hierarchy within a company, otherwise things become extremely inefficient. But one area of our company which I've sort of really driven is no one's above anyone. Everyone's opinion is validated and heard, and doesn't matter whether you're an apprentice or you're a site supervisor. When there's jobs to be done that are difficult, it's not necessarily just an apprentice's job to go do them. It's our team's job to go do it all together. So we're very connected, I suppose, as a team.
Was that a hard transition for the team?
I think they're loving it. And if you break things down a little bit, it's not too much of a step from what they're doing. And we've all been on the journey together to get ready for that next step. On one small hand, jumping into, the sort of developments, the project sizes, it can sometimes be a little bit easier if we've, set them up the right way. We've made all of the decisions. Of course, with custom home building, there's, multiple communications between the client about decisions. So on some end, the boys quite like it because they know what, if something happens on site or if there's a detail that I haven't documented, they kind of know, okay, Chelsea's going to want it like this. So on some hand, it is a little bit easier, but they're so excited for all the projects coming up.
And even with the smaller projects, right, our details have always been exactly the same. The standard's still exactly the same. It's just the bigger projects you get, you're just doing, more of the nice detail. Like it's not, from a standard point of view, it's no different. Building new homes over doing renovations is far more simple for us to do. We've done a lot of complex renovations over the years. And still will continue to do larger scale renovations. But I mean, new builds are just, it's nice because we've done everything from the ground up. So we know that it's done right. So
This, I imagine, was a new build?
Yeah.
Knocked the ground flat and started there. Talk me through what went into the design of this place?
Yeah, the design story of this is actually pretty crazy. We designed Zama years ago now, and then we actually had quite a few client builds that were really exciting. We took them on, sort of put this on the back burner. And then we went through a full redesign, actually.
Oh, wow.
New engineering, new architecturals. We're a little bit...
How much does this look like the original design?
Well, so we went through a redesign.
Yes.
And then I go, what the fuck are we doing? I love the old house. I can't stop thinking about it. And then we just went back to the initial design. We had a very strong vision of exactly what we wanted. And it was so good to have a designer actually, understanding our concept, understanding how we want the house to feel, and then making it happen on paper. Then, of course, Sam making it happen in real life. And even as we were building it, we added cool details like the cobblestone sort of look over there. These were never brick walls. But I'm very excited to work with some phenomenal architects, hopefully in the next year or two, because just the level of detail that they think about and the way they think about the livability of a block where the light hits and how you want different rooms to feel, that's something I'm so excited to do. And just sort of let the reins go, let them explain to me, okay, this is how the land should feel. And then, of course, we put our sense in as well.
You got to barlify it?
Yeah, we barlify it still.
and we can learn a lot more than off them, right? Like we're sort of at a point now where we, like Chelsea said, that we want the architect to be pushing the design and we get to just really focus on, all right, how can we build this efficiently, in a costly sort of manner, and give out input, I suppose, more of a builder rather than as a designer.
I know one thing you guys have mentioned to me off camera is just the, and maybe it is the barlifying thing, you can maybe confirm that, but just how far we can push a design with a client's budget, what that's been like. Because that's a big challenge from a lot of people that we're hearing.
Yeah. I've loved that entire process with clients. And of course, most clients have a tight budget. Everyone wants to, look at Instagram and see really phenomenal photos. And then it was really a cool experience and going, okay, cool. How do I make this feel exactly the same, but to suit their budget? And it's definitely something even we've learned here ourselves. But I think it really came down to us then asking questions. Of course, you go into cabinetry meetings and the cabinetry guy is going to say, you need this, you need this, you need this. And I think in the past, we sort of stepped back and let the trades do their thing a little bit. Then designing and building our own houses, me as the client, I sort of asked all the questions. Okay, well, how much does, the drawers here cost compared to a cupboard? And then you learn about like, wow, that's not going to make the house feel any different. It might even add more storage and it could be a third of the price. So us being the developer, us being the client, it's been really cool to even learn even more. And we can't wait to bring that knowledge to our clients in the next years.
Begin to paint a picture for me of how that is beginning to look with, Barlow 4.0, Barlow 5.0 with what's to come. How is that all sort of coming together when you guys look ahead for the future?
Been a lot of work going into some future developments over the past sort of 9 to 12 months from Chelsea and I, which is probably the biggest shift, I suppose, happening in Barlow, where we're designing a few really nice homes in Broadbeach Water at a place called Darce Estate. Okay. And we sort of still got the masterpiece of the home still to come, which we're not sure whether we're going to build and live in or build and sell or potentially just sell the land off.
We're not selling that one.
Yeah.
I say that now.
We really want to be bringing projects to the market that don't feel like builder developer projects. They feel like builder home projects. So even if we're doing, say, 3 to 4, or a couple of developments at the time, they're passable to be or not part. People would assume that they're probably homes that have been designed for Chelsea and I to live in.
Yeah, like even as we're growing into like Barlow developments and bringing those projects to the market for people to buy, it's like it's our name on the end of the line as well. And like we're so passionate about what a home needs to have for it to feel like a home and for a family to want to stay there for years to come. So we're never going to be like, I feel like a lot of developers are on their background is developing and they've never really started off in that custom home building space where they don't understand that there are a lot of people out there that do care about this. And we've learned that through Bonsol and through other homes, like, without going through those years of experience being like, okay, well, some people do actually care about that and we'll never stop doing that in our developments.
And also building extremely high-end homes and then having feedback of clients around, maybe I didn't need to spend X amount of money in this area. So then you kind of compile all that information and then, you kind of create, I suppose, your own database of what, we found clients find important and what they don't. And, even when clients will come to us with extremely detailed plans, we still will give them, at least the suggestion, this detail in this area of the house, which is at the back in the corner, is quite, expensive to do. We're happy to do it like that, but is that something that you want to spend money on, or would you prefer to spend it here? And sort of just, I suppose, giving our expertise to clients.
Yeah, a lot of people, like especially clients, a lot of people, you go through the process with an architect, but I find it's not their job to look at plans every day. So they go through these conversations even with, phenomenal architects, but they might not understand what one section of the house feels like. So yeah, when we see areas that are maybe over-designed or there's, a cabinetry wall, and if it's in an area like the kids are playing in, you're like, okay, well, do you understand, that it's going to cost this? Would you prefer to put X in your master? And yeah, just really letting them understand the plans before the build starts too.
One thing in particular that I remember, again, when we spoke ages ago, was just the challenges you were facing with being perceived as a young builder and not having the experience. How did you navigate and push through those in early years where you're like, man, I know I can do this. I just need the opportunity.
That resonates so well with me. I remember the feeling at the start, and I just had to be very accepting that if people had an issue with my age and who I was as a builder, that wasn't an issue that I was able to fix. That was an issue with them and they probably weren't going to be able to get over that. So at the start, I used to jump on FaceTimes a lot with people and with initial phone calls, just because, if they'd sort of asked straight away, what's your age? I knew that it would, potentially be an issue and I could kind of just wean them out straight away. I think them, us getting a few projects under our belt, I think people just saw the passion in behind, how passionate I am about the industry, which is probably the main reason that sort of people, clients started to believe in me at the start. And then it's just really a snowball effect from there, right? Like I always knew what we were capable of, and it was just getting, getting the runs on the board for people to be able to see that and, positioning ourselves with how we were marketing projects to maybe perceive that we were doing bigger projects than, what we actually were. And then, as we sort of started to get these bigger projects, I've been so involved with the process from the start to the finish. Even, we've obviously got an amazing team of people around us now, but even to this date, I'm so encapsulated with the process of how homes are built that I'm just really, I suppose, involved and passionate about it. And people, I feel like, can feel that when they're with me as well.
Yeah, I love how passionate Sam is. It's sort of, I don't know if you guys had already chatted about it, but what started Barlow in the first place, he was working for a phenomenal builder, and yeah, I sort of pushed him to say, what are you doing? Like, you should have your name on something like this.
Chelsea, really, when you asked, I think at the start I got a lot of that confidence from Chelsea. From Chelsea, she had sort of, been like, what are you doing, with work doing this for another builder, why don't you do it for yourself? And I didn't know at the time whether I was 100% ready, like you never are, but Chelsea sort of had backed me from the start, which kind of just gives you that little bit of extra confidence when you're doubting yourself that you got someone else.
That's a good wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even drew that our first logo on this fridge that in our very first house. It was on permanent market, late hours of the night, and it was fun.
That's incredible. With what you guys are doing and the journey you've been on, and then the level of passion that goes into each home, and hearing you guys talk, you know, we're big on story. How much of a role does story play in, and storytelling play in what you guys are doing, and how does it play out for you guys?
Yeah, like, of course, from a marketing perspective, like storytelling is really important, but I don't think it's just like from a marketing level. It's how I find people understand what you're trying to tell them. And it did used to annoy you all the time when I would show you a photo of something I wanted in the house, and I'd be like, okay, but don't look at what's in the photo, look at the feeling of the photo and like how the room feels. And you're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, not that sink, not this door, but do you get how that feels? And I think the best way to make people understand how you want a space to feel is by telling a story. So yeah, it's very important for us.
Very well articulated. That I might even take that, because that is so true. And we were at an event the other week, and Andre talked about visiting a restaurant and having two very different experiences. When you looked at, if you try to assess it on as black and white as you can, the difference was story. The people involved were telling stories and shared stories, and it just had such a dramatic effect on the whole experience, and how he and the other guys there at dinner felt. The decisions they made, how much they were willing to part with at the end of the night, you know, to enjoy the evening. So yeah, it's true. Well, very well put. Yeah, one thing that I have felt this whole morning spending with you guys is every time we talk about evolution or you know, the next thing, or looking forward to the future, there's definitely that buzz that comes and smiles on your faces.
Yeah.
For you guys, what does the future look like, and where is Barlow going, and what are you guys involved with?
Barlow is definitely always evolving, and I feel like what we picture is going to be the next 5 years does change all the time. It's definitely always going to be like detail-driven homes. Like, of course, we can't step outside that, but you will see a lot of special projects coming up in the future, expanding into bigger developments as well, and hopefully growing like a really cool team alongside that the entire time.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that are starting to understand, I suppose, the direction of Barlow, and are starting to want to jump on board with, partnerships in different avenues together, which is, so exciting for the both of us. Long-term vision of ours always as well, we would love to eventually get into building apartments, boutique apartments as well. It's always been a very strong vision of ours, but, whilst we're doing that as well, we still think it's extremely important to be building, custom homes for people in unique locations on the Gold Coast, and, also developing, for ourselves, custom homes in unique locations, and giving the market, the Gold Coast, super special high-end homes with, all the amenities that sort of go along with, suiting those locations.
Amazing. One thing, you mentioned the importance of building for clients. One thing I did notice was just the warmth with which the client at the previous project that you guys had handed over, just the warmth with which she came down from upstairs, having gotten the kids ready for school, tidied the house, made it nice and neat for us to come and spend the morning there. And just, the warmth and openness that she had towards you guys just said a lot about what I imagine her client journey looked like. So
that's like one of our obviously favourite parts of the entire process, getting to like put a smile on a family's face. And it's so cool. Like, it was Harvey's 8th birthday the other day, and I sent them a message and a video, and like, it's just like they become family to like Barlow and me and Sam. And it's so cool that, of course, a custom home is probably someone's biggest purchase in their entire life. And it's so cool that we got to build the dream that their family lives in forever. Like, it's special. One
of our builders mentioned to me, I think it will definitely relate with you guys and resonate, is the importance of understanding the feeling. And you talked about feeling earlier, the feeling on site as to like, what's the vibe like and the feeling like amongst the team, amongst you guys, and definitely when the client is interacting with you on site. How do they feel like coming to site, being a part of this? Because that's going to transfer over to, like, do I want to come back to this place? If it's been such a painful build, then do I want to live here? But if it's just felt amazing throughout, then it just transfers so beautifully then into living in this home, and you've got such special memories and feelings around what went into the home as well.
That's one thing that does annoy me a little bit, that there's a lot of people out there that have had a bad experience with building. And I've never understood that. Like in my brain, like you go to a shop, right? And you buy a handbag or you buy a car and it's a fun experience. Why has there been so many situations when people are building their house, which is tenfold that on time and money, that it's not been a fun experience? Like every single day should be so much fun. Like don't make a decision list of X, Y, Z a chore. Like it shouldn't be a chore. It's like, how cool is this? You're like building your own house. Like make it fun. Like it should be so fun.
Very, very true. Well, guys, thank you very, very much for being able to spend time together today and walking us through homes, and looking forward to just following you guys and seeing what comes in the near future.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Pleasure, mate.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Thanks.